Okay, I don't know what's happening once again, so I don't know if this is working or not. But I'm just going to leave it because, once again, YouTube would not let me start the live. So I'm going to hope and assume that this is actually working. I think once I get the hang of all the apps, it'll be a lot easier. I made some tea. So I'm going to aim today for a 45-minute writing sprint, which should be fairly fun or not, depending on what side of the fence you're on. But I found these writing sessions very beneficial to me as well, actually, because it just lets me know that, it's sort of, I was explaining to someone yesterday online that it's like having friends around whilst you're concocting all these stories, and you're bouncing ideas off each other, and they're telling you about the books they've read and the stories they've read. And I had so many lovely book recommendations yesterday, and that was amazing. You would not believe how many people just do not, or how few people actually talk about books, which I find quite sad. But yesterday, just having I was speaking to a few viewers, and they were just talking about all the books they'd read, and I had so many recommendations, and then I had books of my own to tell them about, and that was amazing. And it's just the beauty of the whole book community and the whole writing community, and how we all geek out over, we get so excited over certain stories and certain books. And I've actually got some amazing book recommendations now, and that makes me very happy indeed. So these writing sessions, I think they're very mutually beneficial. They're beneficial to you, and they're very beneficial to me as well, because like I said, it's like having friends around, and you're sort of swapping stories and writing together, which for me is absolutely amazing. So today I'm going to try and write with ink, although I'm running out. It's very scary. I've never been without ink before in my life, so it's a new experience. However, because the shops here, everything's pretty expensive in Budapest at the moment. I think it's the inflation rate, and I think it's it's just a lot of stuff. So I'm not able to get the ink as I can get the ink here, but it is a bit pricey, and I know how much these normally go for, and even these pens are quite expensive, but I bought them here, but they're so pretty. So I'm just going to do some writing with ink today. Now, I have to be honest, I only have certain favorites I use because, it all has to do with the tips and the nibs. And I just prefer these types. I don't like these very much. They look lovely. They do look lovely, but they're very, because I like to write pretty quickly, so these just suit me better. The very pointed ends suit me a lot better. So I propose that we start writing for 45 minutes. If you have any questions, do ask, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because I can actually answer questions and write at the same time, don't worry. It might take me a few seconds to see any questions you have, but I do love that as well. It's such a pretty... I was going to paint that one because that's just plain wood, but I haven't actually gotten around to it yet. You always have all these plans, but that's one of my favourites. Okay, well, today I'm going to end up using that because I think that might work better. And also, if you're working on anything, do let me know what you're working on. The last of my ink. So just to show you as well, these are my, usually I put my ink into these ink wells, and they're quite old actually. I've got a third one, I don't know where I've put it, but these are not my normal ink wells. And I've got these as well, but last time I had all the ink in there, I didn't use it all and quite a bit of the ink dried. And if we're dealing with very scarce ink, I'm not using any of my ink wells at the moment, but I love them. They're just gorgeous. I've got another one as well, but it's in the other room. So that's how I'm just gonna have some tea. The weather's changed quite a bit. It was quite warm in Budapest this weekend, and then it's all gone to hell again, I suppose, which is quite bad, but I think it was a signal to return to work. So apologies if there's a bit of buffering or it's slow, because I'm trying out a new app. Because going via YouTube just was very, very confusing to me. So with this, I'm trying out a new app, and I just want to see how it works, and if it works, and if it's as smooth. The issue with YouTube is when I put it on a schedule, and I go to start the scheduled live stream on my mobile, it always starts a new live stream, which is very confusing. And then, even though it starts a new live stream, it stops it, because obviously I've got a live stream happening, because something is wrong. So this has worked quite smoothly today, apart from me not knowing what was going on at first. But I think this is page 8. So I'm continuing with what I was doing yesterday. I'm still working on Heathens. And we've gotten to quite a pivotal point in writing. So quite worryingly, her eyes still held that vacant stare, and her fingers twitched as they tried to grab the air in search of the amulet. He had to leave. Yeah. Okay, I've made that a bit messy. Hi, Rita. Yeah, this is not going as smoothly, but you know what? It's so therapeutic for me, so... So and this is actually quite funny and quite embarrassing. I have a name of a special herb that this is a series about witches and warlocks, and I have a name of a special herb that they use. But because I have two different spellings for the name, so I want to make sure I don't make an error. So I always just make a little note, just so I check all my facts properly. And it just helps because one thing I've done in a few books is I've used slightly different spellings and descriptions for a potion or an ointment or a poison, and my editors have been like, well, which one is it? You know, you're sort of confusing us now. So, yeah. So I always just make a little coloured note. It doesn't look particularly pretty on the paper, but sometimes needs must. So yeah, everything's just starting to run dry, but that's fine. Oh, hi Margaret, how are you? That's a bit weird. Okay, I might. So, this is being a bit stubborn. So I'm hoping, because this has always been my favourite, and I'm hoping this will work a lot better. Because I have to be honest, I haven't quite protected my pens, and I haven't taken as good care of them as I should have. So this is more of a bad owner maintenance issue, you know, the equivalent of not servicing your pens or your tools, because this is the pen I would normally use. Where is it? Hang on, this one. If I didn't have access to ink, I normally use for that. I have this, which is quite good, but it's but if you look, after a while the ink dried up, and I guess I was a bit negligent, and it went horribly wrong. So it's going to need a lot of cleaning and a lot of maintenance. So there's this lovely stationery shop here. It's quite pricey, but it's lovely. And they have amazing pens. And I actually tried to get the price of one of the pens, and I was quoted about 69,000 forint. So for people who don't know the currency, I'm just going to write that down. 69,000 forint is a great deal of money for a pen. I think that's way over, I would say, 100 if we're talking about pound sterling. Yeah, Margaret, exactly. The shops are a treat, but you can spend so much money in there on pens and just all sorts of stuff that you don't really need. And that's exactly what I used to do. I used to go in there and I just used to completely lose the plot, which wasn't fantastic, but... And this is how I've ended up all these pens, all my journals, and yeah. Actually, I might see if they have ink refills for the actual fountain pens. That's a good idea. I never thought about that. But so at the moment, I'm either using your standard pens, which for me are very unromantic, or I'm trying to use these today because I just really missed them. But let's see how this one goes. And I'm getting ink everywhere as well. Yeah, yeah, I know she gave me the price, and I thought, and I sort of did the exchange rate thingy rather than swiping my card, and I thought, oh, is that the price? Okay, that'll be for a special day then, because I'm not spending that amount of money today, but it was a beautiful pen, and I'm still hoping to get something like it, but, you know. Yeah, but this is a good shop. It's in Budapest, but I think they have a very niche clientele, and I think a lot of people who spend money there, not really the local people, they're more tourists who want to buy stationery and pens and just beautiful pens for their families abroad. So it's a very more targeted towards the tourists because it'd be very expensive for the locals. Oh, look at the difference between that and that. And this is why this is my favourite. Unfortunately, I don't know where I got that nib from. I have no idea. I think because I have such a collection. These are one of some of my worst ones. I just don't like using them. I don't know why. But, this just flows. And I think what I'm going to start doing, actually, before I buy any more of these, is test them in the shop with ink, because this is my favourite one, and it's actually not as pricey as the others, but it just lets me write how I want to write. Oh yeah, I always find random stationery in random stationery shops, and I'm always popping in them and just convincing myself that I need something, a new notepad or desk planners and all sorts of things. Hi, Patty. Yeah, but I mean, 188 US dollars. I mean, I don't even know how much that is for a pen. That is quite expensive, especially a pen that is not particularly, it's not a special pen. It's just a pen in a shop, and I didn't want to be disrespectful because I know, it's probably been made by some pensmith somewhere or whoever makes pens, but it was just a bit extreme for me. And I would like to get one of those pens because I'm going to test them first, obviously, but it was just, in this economy, it was just a bit extreme, especially when you have so many pens that can do the same thing, and I'd like to know that if I'm going to get a pen like that, it's going to last a very long time. I'm sorry, because it's just quite a great deal of money, And I know that none of the locals are definitely going to be buying that pen because I've mentioned this shop to so many local people and they don't even know about it because it's the prices in there are quite high, and yeah. So I think it's more targeted towards tourists, and it's a lovely shop. I love it. I love going in there, but it does add up very quickly. Now this is the really difficult part, because sometimes the ink just takes ages to dry for some reason. And I'm being particularly aggressive at the moment. So I'm not even going to try and... So I've been quite aggressive there. And I think it's just... Yeah, I've used a lot more ink in that bit than that bit. But, hey ho, I'm just going to move on to the next sheet of paper because I don't want it to get all messy. If anyone's working on anything at the moment, do let me know. It'd be quite interesting to know what everybody else is working on or doing, or have some tea. I know sometimes when people are working on projects, they don't like saying what they're working on, which is fine, but you know. Writing birthday cards is, yeah, my friend has just gotten engaged, so I'm going to send her an engagement letter and card. So I'm going to probably do that tomorrow, actually. Amazing. And I'm actually going to get the card from the shop because they have such special stationery and such beautiful stuff. Werewolf stories. Werewolf stories, amazing. I don't know many of the rules around werewolves. You know, like there are all these urban rules around them and how they, you know, the silver bullets. And I think the Twilight series tried to change the werewolf genre a bit, but I'm not sure how well that went. I'm used to werewolves in the 80s, all the werewolf movies with the silver bullets, you know, all those very strategic rules that they had. A short story. Yeah. I'm not very good with short stories, Rita, because I always have a tendency to go overboard and just keep writing, which is always a mistake. Thank you, Rita. Bye. Enjoy work if possible. Yeah. I hate when that happens. Yeah, I don't think werewolves are as written as at the moment. I know werewolves were quite popular in the 80s, weren't they? And then vampires became very, very popular because they became quite sexy. I think vampires were seen as sexy. They were always depicted as being extremely wealthy, sexy, always clad in leather and, just tight jeans and just, small wrinkled looks and that sort of thing. And the females were always very slim and they always, had amazing fighting skills. So I think that werewolves were not considered attractive, which I found fascinating. So the vampire sort of took over as the good-looking ghouls of the, paranormal world, which for me is, was pretty funny. But I love the werewolf movies of the 80s, but it's a shame that no one's really, I think, written any more about the genre, because you have the Interview with the Vampire books and all the vampire stuff, and that's been really popular for so long. Why does this keep happening? Oh dear. Oh, vampires and witches. Yeah. The books, it's actually quite interesting because in Budapest, I'm actually sort of sticking to ebooks and audiobooks and that sort of thing because the books here are just so horribly expensive. And they say it's got to do with the import fees, which to me makes no sense whatsoever because these books are printed everywhere, so you don't have to. They're printing houses everywhere. When I say everywhere, pretty much each country now. So the prices don't make any sense. And when I talk about the price of books here, especially English language books, I'm talking about £17 sterling for a book, which I think is a bit. And this is a paperback book, a normal, paperback, maybe 5 by 8 inches. It's tiny, So the prices are quite extreme. But yeah. So I think the book prices are getting a bit out of hand wherever you go, really. But the first book is called The Marionette. That sounds amazing. So I know, like, when you see people writing with ink and they sort of they have these splodges everywhere. I think some people find it a bit romantic, and it just gets on my nerves. I think I like quite neat, neat presentations, and that just really grates me. But I think some of you have to get used to. Okay, I'll see if it's on, if the ebooks are available. So how much is 700 rand? I don't, at the moment, the only exchange rates I know are pound sterling, naira, which is my local currency in Nigeria, and Hungarian forint. And it's none of it is looking particularly good right now against the pound, but it never does. Oh dear, there's a blob there. So the issue is now this is just going to take absolute ages to dry. So I normally have a piece of clothing to blot it out, but I'm a bit of a tomboy, I don't care. My parents used to look horrified when I did that as a child. I just grabbed my sleeve and I just pressed down on the ink. They were absolutely horrified. Especially when I was wearing clothing that wasn't black, but I don't care. But it's just amazing how this works way better than that. But that is actually a lot more expensive than that one. But this does take a lot of ink. But this is just very scratchy. It's very, which some people like, but if you want to actually get the words down, it makes it a bit impossible sometimes. Page 10. Have a good interview, Margaret. Okay. It's now 9:30 and I had such an early start this morning. So I think I'm going to stop there for today. I've done over an hour. And the next live will be on Thursday at the same time. So I've already scheduled it already. And I'll just carry on like we did today. I hope whoever's left, whoever is behind, has enjoyed the session. I know I have. It's always, I didn't realise how therapeutic it could be to write with people. I just had no idea how lovely it was. So I'm eternally grateful for this opportunity to do that because it just helps me focus as well. And I think even better, we get to discuss books and, stationery and book ideas and also what we're working on as well, all our little individual projects. Thank you, Patty. So I will see you on Thursday and I hope you had a good writing session and you got lots of words down. So I'll see you on Thursday at the same time at 8 p.m. Central European time, which I believe is, I'm really bad with these timings, it's ridiculous, which is 6 p.m. GMT or UTC. Okay, see you, bye.